Since the end of World War I, international law knows two conflicting principles. That is the inviolability of territories and boundaries on the one side, and the right of self-determination on the other. Until the end of World War I, Great Britain, the USA, France, and Russia had waged wars without restraint to acquire more territories. Having shared the war booty of 1918 among themselves, the colonial powers, Great Britain, USA, and France, suddenly emphasized the inviolability of territories and boundaries and made it the predominant principle of international law. The second idea that had been raised to a principle of international law was the right of self-determination. From the very first, this right was mainly a lever to legitimize stripping the vanquished Germans, Austrians, and Turks of their foreign language population and territories. But the vanquished countries were deprived of much more than their foreign language territories and populations, which by itself shows that dismemberment of the vanquished was the favoring motive. Thus, 20 years before World War II, a new Europe was created in which 7.8 million German-speaking Germans and Austrians were handed over to foreign states without plebiscite and against their explicit wishes. Relying on the proclaimed right of self-determination, the Constituent Assembly in Vienna, in its first session in November 1919, had decided to merge with the newly created Republic of Germany. This was specifically prohibited by the Wiener States, so the right of self-determination was abrogated for another 7 million German-speaking citizens. Thus, after World War I, the right of self-determination had been repealed for nearly 15 million citizens of German language, just as for 14 million citizens of other nations, thereby creating an ethnic disorder which had high potential for future conflicts. Some far-sighted comments from the camp of the winners concerning the separation of millions of people from their home countries are interesting. For instance, the British Prime Minister Lloyd George, he wrote, "I can hardly envisage a stronger cause for a future war." Or the French Marshal Foch, who shortly before had led the Allied ceasefire delegation at Compiègne, he said, "That is not a peace, that is a ceasefire for 20 years. Or the American former Assistant Secretary of State, William Bullard, who was also a member of the US delegation in Versailles. He wrote, "The unjust decisions of the Versailles Conference make a new international conflict sure." Here, one of the causes of World War II is stated by the statesman responsible. Most probably, it wouldn't have come to a new war after only 20 years if the gainers of World War I had their new and alien subject treated as equal citizens and had peacefully integrated them. In the maltreatment by the gainer nations of their new minorities, one has to see some of the further causes of World War II. Here in particular, the Czechs and the Poles are a case in point.